Alright guys, so we got to this point, soldering this other point rail. So I have already fluxed it, and also there is solder. So again, you gotta make sure that the rail is aligned. Okay, so another thing you can do before you solder it is to gauge it. So put the gauge here and a little bit loose, it's not bad. So like this one, you put it right on the bend here, so you gauge it. Okay, that looks good. So, and then you align it here, then you hit it up. Oops, it moved. It shouldn't be that bad. Okay. Alright. Didn't move that much. Okay, so here I'm gonna hold it with this so it doesn't get too hot, doesn't burn my finger, and always have a sponge, wet sponge, so you can clean your soldering gun. Alright, so this is done. Okay, it's a little bit standing high. Should be sitting flat. So you remember in one part of the video I told you, so you put the rails down flat and you push on one side and the other. I haven't done on this one, so but you guys remember to do it. So you put it down, you push on one end. If this other end stands up, lifts, so you gotta bend it, so make sure it's, because it's weak, this point it doesn't make that much of a difference, so it should be alright. So I'll just continue the way it is. So you guys just remember you do that test. So all these 4 rails, put it flat, push on one end, the other end shouldn't lift. If it does, fix it. So bend it sideways, up and down, left, right, so you'll figure it out. Okay, so now I'm gonna find this tie here. Hold on. Okay guys, I found it. Another thing you should remember before you put this in, file this again, smoothen the edges, so because it gets rough. If you're cutting this PC board, you should do it. If you're buying the one from Fast Tracks, I think you should do that one too. I've never had one, so just make sure it's smooth, the surface, the edges and stuff, before you put it here to solder it. So I gotta make a little correction here. Okay, just for the heck of demonstration, I just took this rail off. It's easy, just heat it up, it will come off. To show you, so you see when I push on both ends here, you see it, this side lifts up. Okay, so it means when you put it down like you saw, it won't sit flush, so you gotta kinda remedy this, and you can look straight down. I can see that the tip on this side it's a little bit warped like that, so we gotta okay. Now when I push on this side, on both sides, it's not lifting, it's sitting flush with the surface, so it's fixed. Alright, so I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna get a little bit of flux again here. You can make sure you don't solder this. You know. Okay. Let's a little bit still. Whoops. Again, before you solder it, make sure that this here, it gets inside the rail, it doesn't go outside like that, so it has to sit inside. Okay, so then you tape it. Okay, so now it's ready to solder. Let's see. Okay, now it's better. It's sitting almost like 1/16 off, so it's much better. That's no problem. Okay. So let me check the gauge here. It's a little bit of bending. Okay, it's good now. Okay, I gotta go in a little bit. I forgot to okay, that's good. Okay, so now it's time to solder this tie here. So you don't have to put solder in the beginning, so you just put a little bit of flux. Okay. And you put solder on your soldering gun tip, and then you put it on. That's it. Then you bring this on this side. Need to bend it a little bit. Okay. So make sure you leave enough gap here. I would leave at least a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch gap. So flux it. All right. So we got the points ready. Okay. Then you need to drill. Don't do it in the center because sometimes there is a chance that metal rod might contact and short these. So, or you can make this gap bigger. This cut, make it bigger. So the rod, the center piece of rod, or you can make this cut on the side or this side instead of dead center. I usually do on the side. I don't know why this one I did it on the center. Actually, I should have put that on this side. That's why it's center. Yeah. Alright, so this is ready and it closes pretty tightly there and pretty tight here. So it's pretty good. Alright, let's try pretty good. A little bit wide there, but it's no big deal. Alright, so now we gotta do the frog point. So again, I gotta flux it. Okay, and I use 12 gauge copper wire for this, so I gotta clean it sometimes. Okay. Alright, now flux the back. Okay, now this is important to not to get too close here to close this gap too much, and you don't want to be too far out so the wheels kind of drop in here. So what you can do, you can put a You can't really see the printout, so it's kind of mangled here or mixed up together, so you can't really see. So you gotta use your eyes and also the gauge here. Make sure you gauge it so it's not too tight on both sides. So then, oh, before I do this, let's do the guardrails. Okay, let me get the solder, because when we put the guardrails in, it will help us to get that point in the frog in much better aligned actually. Okay, so the guardrails you cut to the size, and you use a needle nose. You bend the edges, okay, a little bit, not too much, like that. And what I do, because it has a curve here, I kind of bend this to match the curve of the rail. So when you put it next to each other, this gap here and here, it's the same, because if you don't bend it, it's gonna get narrow. Bended, it's gonna get narrower here and wider here. So you want to have an even gap here. So okay, now you don't want to put it too far out like that. You want to get it as close as you can and make sure that the wheel goes in there. Okay. Alright, so I think that's good. We can always adjust it later if we need it. Can always use something metal to push it down so the rail gets really down on the PC board. So all right, so that's there, and too much. Okay, the same thing here. I have matched the curvature so the gap stays the same. I got a little bit farther back, so I push it, hold it down. Okay, so we got the guardrail in. Alright, so now the reason I wanted this in, because what it does, because if you don't put it in, the flange of the wheel might hit the tip of the point here and it will jump up. So when you push this way, it will stop from the flange going on the point here, so the wheel will stay in the center. So that's the purpose of that, so the wheel flange doesn't hit this point. So right about, I can go more in. I think right there it's good. Okay, gauge, it's good. Okay, I'm gonna hold this down and I'm gonna heat it up. It might loosen up these two, but you can always tighten it, solder it later. I don't know if it got stuck or not. Alright, it did. Alright. So that's good. Okay, let's test it. Okay, it's not hitting. I could bring that a little bit more towards outside. All right. And what I do usually on these guardrails, let me show you. On this right edges here, so what I do, I file the top in an angle, like that. I don't know if you can really see it. So let me get another rail. So you can see here, see, I file it like that. I don't know if you can see. You see, it's get an angle. You don't want a sharp 90-degree edge here. You want it a little bit, so when the wheel hits here, it smoothly goes in right there. So you want a little bit of angle, so like that. I don't know if you can see that, but this will help when the wheel comes in. It hits it smoothly. Instead of flange hitting the edge, it will smoothly go in. So those 4 corners. Okay, so now we test it. Make sure it doesn't hit, the flange doesn't hit this tip here. This one is a little bit out this way, but it's not hitting. Okay, it's pretty smooth. Alright, now we can solder the rest. So you gauge it and also watch the printout. Another thing I'm gonna do, let me stop. Alright, so what I did, I cut the rails. So you can go longer if you want. So in order to get this gap correctly, so what I do, I get another rail. Makes my job easy, so I just go like that and then solder it. Easy. So you don't have to gauge it or anything, so you just plug it in and then you solder it and you'll be done. So I recommend pushing them down again so they get flat. Alright, that's that. This rail seems a little bit coming out this way, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bend it and then solder it. Actually, it seems like it's staying there, but okay. Okay, done. Alright, now I'm gonna use a little bit of a sandpaper, or I can do it with some solder here. Okay. So now let's test it. Smooth transition from one to the other. Okay. Alright, so done. So this is complete, and the next step would be the ties, the wood ties. Alright, so actually I need to cut that. Okay, so there's two ways you can do this. We need to cut these two rails here. Okay, right there. Alright, so I can either use a cutting wheel like this. Okay, so just cut it there. Or there is another one like this one here. This one cuts thinner. I like this one, but kinda gets ruined. So I can cut it with these two. It's a little bit worn. Okay guys, I took it off the printout and also cut this with this wheel here. So because it's a little bit thinner, the cut is thinner. Make sure you don't cut it at once. Do it in 2-3 times and cool it down, because if it gets too hot, the solders might open up. So do it a couple of times or 3 times and then cool it down. Alright, so now it's separated. This thing, you can save it and reuse it basically, so it's all perfectly fine. Alright, now so it's pretty good. It's a little bit of lift here on this side, but it's not that much. You see, when I push it down and make it flat, it moves really smoothly. There is no sometimes like it would get stuck on these ties here and it won't come back. So but this one you can see it's sitting flush with the board underneath, and it's moving freely and very smoothly. Or that's what you want. You want it to move very smoothly, because if you use servos don't have too much power, and if it's too strong you get buzzing on the servo. So this is perfect actually. Alright, now the last step. Okay, one more thing I just remembered. So when you put these ties in, so you have to solder your frog, the point, to change the polarity on it, so you can do anywhere here. So just make sure you get these two rails powered, so you can do any of these here, because it's cut here so it won't interrupt this. So okay, all right, so how do I do the ties here, wood ties? Let me show you. Actually this is, I gotta use the other one, gotta use this one. So this is the one I built previously. So what I do, oops, I peeled this off. There's two ways actually. This one I have done before, it takes a long time. I put these tapes, double stick tapes here on each tie, then I stick the tie on it, and I use a knife and I cut it, okay, like that, and the ties, all the ties stay there. So then what I do, I put the turnout on it, and then I use glue and kind of sips under, I mean capillary action, it sucks the glue under it and it gets stuck to it. The other way you can do it is, let me show you this one, the printout is darker. So what you can do, you can put the turnout upside down like that, and then you can just use a flush cutter, cut it like this. Well, I can't use it over there, so I'll use on this one here. Okay, so then I use this Zap-A-Gap. Let me open up the end that has dried. Okay. And then I just put the tie on it, and make sure that you match. Right now I'm just doing it for the sample, but make sure the tie, the top and the actual tie matches the printout. So I put it there and hold it a few seconds, and then until it's dry. Okay. See? That's it. And as you see on these ones, I have done the holes. Alright, the battery died, I had to replace, so okay, I don't know where it cut off, but you use the opposite printout, See, this one is the opposite, so you put it upside down, make sure there is some of those double stick tapes left, and you stick this on and make sure you match the PC boards to the printouts. So I mean, you can eyeball it too, you know, like you don't have to go by the printout, but it will help do it much faster. So you can do it here like that, here. So when you get here, make sure you just don't put glue on the center points. Guys, just a quick update. Before you start doing the ties, the wood ties, I did this one here. Okay, you can see. So what I noticed, if you have this soldered, these 2 points soldered, point rails soldered in place, when you put the ties here, the glue sips and gets stuck with the point rails. So your point rails get stuck. So what I decided to do, I unsolder one side like this, and I bring them in and I tape it like that in the center. So get it away from these 2 outer rails like that. So then put it upside down like this. Okay, and then start to glue. Around here it's okay, but when you get here close to the end, especially the last 7 or 8, it gets really tight. So there is a chance that the glue will stick to your point rails. So I figured the best way is to do this. All right, so just tape it like that, or you can not solder it. Then after you put the ties in, solder this piece, the PC board. So it's up to you. So just make sure you get a pretty good distance from the outer rails, and you're gonna be okay. All right. All right. So I did this one. Let me do a few more, so you can see actually. So right there. It's a little bit time consuming, but it will pay off after you're done. Okay. I don't know what kind of glue you want to use, but this Zap-A-Gap, it's kind of like a super glue. It dries really fast. Make sure the ties are, the rails are clean. If they have kind of oil or something on them. This one looks a little bit dirty. It has paint and stuff on it. That's why the glue doesn't stick well. Looks like there's some residue here. So, but it, I don't know, like takes 10 seconds or so. And these ones I have just used regular, flex track ties. I just put it there to hold it in place. Can take it off. Oops. Okay, it's all right. Alright guys, I did this a sample here so you can see. Comes out really nice. And after you did all these, you have to paint it. So make sure you get on the sides. So that's it. And don't put anything in the back here because you don't want the ties to stop the joiners to reach in. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the video right here. The main part is done. So this is the other one. So after I did all the wood ties and stuff, I'm gonna take a picture, or I'll make another video and show it to you guys so how it came out. So this is the other one I made. This one I made the gap a little bit bigger here than this one. You can see this is smaller, that's bigger. I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, it's this one. Yeah, it doesn't drop, so it's good. Alright. Okay, so that's it for now, and now you can make your own switches, and the rest is just cosmetic stuff. You don't have to wait until to see that, so it's gonna be just cosmetic. All the technical stuff is done. You can go ahead and build your own switches. Straight switches will be much easier, faster. These are pretty long and kind of curved. It's of course harder. Alright guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was long, and I hope you watched all the way through. And now I'm sure some of you knew, but this is a different way of doing it. This is my way of doing it, like the Frank Sinatra is saying. So I hope you can, somebody will use my way of doing the switches. Alright guys, let me know what you think in the comments, and as I said, when I make the final switch with paint, all the paints, everything done, I'll make another video. Okay guys, I finished one. This is the one I built before. This is the one I built with you guys. I gotta finish that. So I have painted it and it looks good. It's finished, so it's ready. All I have to do is solder that wire, this frog wire, for the polarity change, so like this one here. So I'm thinking on this one I have to do the same thing and mount the servo on the back. I took this one off the layout. I'm working on the layout now, so I took this one off. I took this servo off of this one, so I had to replace the ties over there. So yeah, I'm making the video of the layout. I'm widening the peninsula, so I'm gonna post that video so you can see where I'm gonna use these switches. Alright, so one thing you want to do before you put it on display is to test the connectivity and make sure there is no short. So these two, they should sound. Put your ohm meter on the buzzing so you can hear it Okay, these two should be connected. These two also, but when you go like that, there shouldn't be any beep. Okay, so these are correct. Nothing. So when you go here, here shouldn't be anything. Alright, so these are all connected together up to here. Here I have filled in with ABS, so I can see black. I usually don't do it, but you don't have to. Actually, I think if it's empty, it's better for expansion and a contraction when it gets really hot. So yeah, test the track, make sure there is no short. Okay, so this one looks good, no short. And test this one. Okay, yeah, that's good too. Alright guys, that's it, I'm done. Good luck with your project. I hope you can use this method, my method, and build your switches and enjoy doing it. I like doing it. I haven't built any straight ones yet because I have lots of the Atlas ones. What I do, I take these hinges out, I modify them. Maybe I should make a video of that. So I take all the hinges out like that here, so they look better. So I reuse my Atlas switches, so I don't make these ones like this one here. So I have installed the servo under it. So I bought tons of maybe over 100 Atlas switches, so I just modify them and reuse them. So the curved ones are the ones that I always build because they're expensive to buy, and I always make the radius that I like. These ones are, I think, 26. I'm not sure. I gotta look at the the printout. Alright guys, that's it, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe and like, and be on the watch for my video of widening the peninsula, and that's gonna be a little bit of work, so I'll post a couple of or 2-3 videos so you can watch. Alright then, until the next video, thanks for watching.